Hey everybody and welcome, and in today's video we're going to talk about the importance of Onshape categories to drive valuable behavior in OpenBOM. And by that I mean you can use a category in Onshape to tell OpenBOM what part number sequencing you want to assign to a part or an assembly, and where in OpenBOM, in other words, which catalog you'd like those parts or assemblies to be saved in. So Onshape categories are important. And it starts by first setting up your Onshape categories. So you may or may not have access to Onshape categories depending upon your Onshape subscription level. But if you do, you'll go into your company configuration to the categories area. And in my example, I've created a few extra categories here, one called casting, which I'm going to use in my example. And that's done by using the create category button and kind of following the UI there and creating a new category. So I've done so for casting in Onshape, and I've given it a domain or a scope for parts. And I've also created some for electrical and fasteners and molded and other things we'll see in other videos. So that's thing number one, is create that category setting in Onshape. Then the next thing that you'll do is within your designs. For example, I'm going to go to this ISO mantle casting here. I'm going to choose parts that I want to apply that category to, and we can check and say, I can see that this particular casting is already set to part. That's the out-of-the-box Onshape behavior. So I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to set this to casting. And by the way, I'm going to drop down here and do that for all these others as well. And if you were creating new items in here as part of your company's policies, you of course would determine what categories are assigned to parts and assemblies as you create them. So the important part is that I've got a set of parts now inside of Onshape that have a property called category, and I've currently set it to casting. Okay, so that's now going to drive some important behavior in OpenBOM. And what does that mean? Well, first let's take a look at, in this context, in this video, we're going to look at the setting part numbers. If I was again to take a look at any of these, I'll see that the part number property for this is not set. And in another video, we talked about the simple case of fetching part numbers. This is going to be sort of an advanced look at that. So first in OpenBOM, I've set up a castings catalog, and I've used the part number setup setting to configure it so that it dispenses part numbers in a sequence that makes sense to my company. In my case here, I just 2503, 04, etc. So again, there's another video on that. So back in Onshape, in my Part Studio, there is a new OpenBOM items flyout. And this is important. It has an important setting here that says use categories. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I've gone into my settings. Again, there's a separate video on this as well, but I've gone into my settings and I've set up my categories to say, look, I want casting to go to my castings catalog. So we're going to save that. And then I'm going to turn on use the category settings, because I want to take advantage of that casting category setting. And so I've set that up ahead of time, and I just say, look, for all parts in this Part Studio, maybe my default catalog is set to Onshape items. But for all parts in this Part Studio, go ahead and get a part number. And I get a message that tells me, hey, we're going to get part numbers. We're going to get them from Onshape items, because that's what I've specified. But I say to you, look, if I encounter a category setting, I'm going to use that. So you can have multiple categories set in this example. In my video here, I've just got one set to category, one set to casting. So I'm going to go ahead and generate these. So keep in mind, my default catalog was Onshape items, but I've said to use the category setting to drive where to get those part numbers from. And so if I would go back and look at any of these, I'll see now that they have a casting part number. So, and that is because I set their category to casting. So the important process here is to set up your categories in Onshape, map them to catalogs in OpenBOM that have part numbers sequencing turned on. Use the get part number command here in the items flyout, and be sure to enable the use category settings. So I know there was a lot of detail on that, but I hope you find it useful. You can always reach us at support@openbom.com. Thanks.